Organization culture is a system of shared beliefs, assumptions, and values that governs how people are interacting with each other in the organization and dictates how are they going to be performing their work. I'll give you an example. Today, if you go to a school, you're required to wear a specific type of a uniform. You're required to behave certain way toward your teachers as well as to your fellow students. That type of activity and interaction is completely different than when you are actually going to a football match. That governs of rules and regulation in the school is different than the football match. The culture in the school is different than the culture at the football match. An organizational culture to each and every organization is set differently, and that's what defines it, its own unique personality. Who usually defines the organizational culture? Is it the CEO? Is it the HR? Or is it the corporate communication and the marketing department? Neither. Everybody is involved in setting the organization culture, setting the values, setting the beliefs, including the employees. But most importantly, people usually look over somebody who's a role model. CEOs, board members, executive teams are usually considered the pillars who embed those values of the organization. Now, why is the organization culture important? Because it sets how people are interacting with each other. It sets the tone of the organization, its own personality. It also sets how people are going to be engaging with each other, how are they going to be performing, and eventually how that performance is going to be translated into product as well as services offered to the customer. Now, usually the organization culture is carried through different things, through visuals, through communication, through role models. All of these are examples of how an organization culture gets transferred from one area to another area, or from one employee to another employee. A new employee, when they join the organization, they are in invisible way told how are they going to be behaving, how are they going to be interacting, what is the hierarchy of the organization, how are you going to be ordering things and receiving things. Now, an organizational culture is defined by 7 types of characteristics. Those characteristics usually have a high value or a low value, and the only thing that defines what is that value is the organization itself. So one of the main characteristics of organizational culture is innovation. An organization that puts high value in innovation allows its people, its staff, to run freely with innovation. A biggest example is Google. Google gives 12 days a year for its employees to go and run and do different projects. And it's not the property of Google, it's property of their employees. So Google is, for example, is one of the organizations that pays really high when it comes into innovation. It allows people to go around and innovate things. Other type of characteristic is a fairness. How organization is going to be acting and reacting toward its employees. What is the level of fairness? Is it going to be applying the regulation and rules across everybody? What is their transparency? Are they going to be saying something like, I have an open door policy, and they're going to be implementing those open door policy? You also have other type of values, such as collaborative. An organization that highly depends on a collaborative work will come up with a product or a service that everybody in the organization highly believe in it. One of the biggest examples is a Toyota. When Toyota come up with a car, it is not only done by one person, it's actually almost 18 departments get involved into developing that specific type of a product. Other type of characteristics that is considered to be very important is competitiveness. How competitive is that organization, and how are they going to be paying a value of that within the organization? If, for example, let's say staff A is highly competitive, is he going to be showing up in his performance appraisal? Is he going to be rewarded higher than staff B, who is not that much competitive? So is that going to be translated in their performance appraisal? Again, also there is achievement, result orientation organization, the organization that's going to be putting value on how much have you achieved by the end of the year. All of these characteristics defines what is the personality of that organization. Now, it's very important for each and every organization to know what is their own value, so that they actually understand what it is. If there is a requirement to change it, they change. And if there is a requirement to embed it more into their employee, they take those actions required.
Our lecture today is about motivation. And why do we need motivation? Because people are always motivated towards an objective. So we are all motivated one way or another towards achieving our goals in life. How does it apply to business? It does apply to business as much as it applies to your social life or any other of your objectives. How is that happening? Let's see. There are so many different ways of motivating people. Let's see some of these ways and see how does that help motivating others. One, it's the opportunity to grow. What does it mean, opportunity to growth? It means that whenever we are motivated to grow, we like it because we know that there is a reward. That reward is to move forwards. All of us like to move forwards. Every one of us is aspiring for better status one way or another. So the opportunity to growth is a very, very nice way to motivate people. If we look at inspiration, aren't we all inspired one way or another by some people that we look at as probably our idols? Yes, we are inspired. So to be inspired is another very good way of motivating people. There has to be something they look at. There has to be something they look forward for. This is called inspiration. It's really good and it works. Another way is peer motivation. Aren't we all in competition? 100%. One way or the other, either socially or in business, we are in competition. And probably the closest type of competition we have is with our peers. Don't we all want to be more advanced or better performing than our peers? Yes, absolutely. So I can be motivated, you can be motivated, everybody can be motivated by the peer motivation. It's always working well. Another way, the appreciation of work done. Do we like to be praised for what we do? 100%. Yes, we all like to be acknowledged. We all like our work to be appreciated, because if nobody would really acknowledge our work or appreciate it, why should we work if there is no appreciation? Yes, we need our work to be appreciated. We need our work to be acknowledged. And this way, yes, we are motivated to do even better job than before. Another one, strong organization culture. We spend more time in our organizations than we spend at home, which means the organization culture is a major part of our life, which means, again, organization culture in itself is a motivation. With good organization culture, where we can really prove that we deserve better or we can do better, we can perform better, of course we are motivated. A good organization culture is a definite motivation factor, very good one. What about engaging and interesting work? Didn't you feel sometimes that you are bored of what you're doing? You don't like to do it? How can you perform well? You cannot. Interesting work is very, very important. You feel good about doing the job. You feel good about performing. You love doing what you're doing. But there has to be some way to engage people in what they do and to engage them in a way that their work is an interesting part of their lives. It's not a routine that is performed every day the same way. No, we need to be interested, and we need to be interested and do it well. We need to be engaged, in other words. I think this is more than one way good enough to motivate your people. Does it work? 100%.
Leaders become great not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others.
Be strong, you never know who you are inspiring.
Alone, you can do so little. Together, we can do so much.
Culture is the way you think, act, and interact.